Everyone's got their own way of warming up for In the Know. Rodders puts his head in a honey pot like Winnie the Pooh. Robbie eats 10 handfuls of tofu. Tom goes for a run round his office. Whereas me and Keels, which one do you want, mate?
Won't be one of them, son.
Let's call it a draw. This is In the Know. Good evening, welcome back. It's In the Know, brought to you by the Racing Post. My name is Ross Brierley, and there's more Royal Ascot action to come tomorrow. And today was, well, pretty easy, wasn't it? It was an O'Brien beat Gosden in the Ribblesdale. Gosden beat O'Brien in the Gold Cup. Was it a Ballydoyle winner in the 2-year-old race? Yes, it was. Was it a wide-drawn, well-backed favourite in the King George V, rattling home down the centre of the track? Yes, it was. Was it a high-drawn benefit in the Buckingham Palace with a bit of Ascot form, rattling home to win by quite a long way? Yes, it was. Oh, what else have we got? Was it 2 Group 1 horses dropping back in grade in the Hampton Court to finish 1-2? Yes, it was. Was it a high-drawn benefit in the Britannia? I believe it might well have been. But look, we've done all the form study. We've spent hours going through the card tomorrow. We could probably wrap this up in about 5 minutes and just back 2 or 3 trainers and everything drawn 25 and upwards in the big handicaps. But hey, that's not what you're here for. I'm sure you've got other angles. And who knows what will happen tomorrow? Will it get worse? Will it completely change? Will the jockeys go to the other side? Will they come down the middle? Who knows? This is racing, after all. But I hope you enjoyed today. There were some cracking finishes. And Trawlerman getting his due in the big race at age 7 years old. What a week it's been for the Gosden and Buick combination. And the boys in blue as well. I mean, Saib bin Saroz having winners at Chelmsford 5 minutes after he's having winners at Royal Ascot. He seems to disappear for 10 months of the year on the flat, but then pops up and bangs winners in left, right and centre. So what have we got tomorrow? We've got the Coronation Stakes, of course. Very impressive winner of the Pretty Polly dropping back down in trip, and a French raider full of controversy, beautiful breeding and plenty of ability as well. And the Commonwealth Cup as well. Will it be another case of the milers dropping back and giving the sprinters a good old beating? Can Charlie Appleby get a winner? Plenty of questions will be answered tomorrow. But it gives me great pleasure and a lot of bruises all over my body to welcome back Mr. Paul Kealy to the studio.
How are you doing?
That was a pretty tight game I thought we had before then.
Are these yours?
I believe they might well be. I can't believe you. I can't run in the ledger now because you've taken them off. But you've been up in your finery and at Royal Ascot the past few days.
Yes, sweltering. Yeah, baking hot. Yeah, so it was nice to come back into the nice air-conditioned office and put a T-shirt on and not dress up.
Yes.
Unlike the man to my left, silly boy.
Yes, we are also joined by Keith Melrose, who will be representing us in the forthcoming trial. How are we pleading?
Yeah, always plead not guilty. You know what juries are like.
Yeah, except no, I don't, and I hope never to find out, if I'm honest. But what have you made of the week so far?
Just what you said. Ascot it just seems to make sense. It's lovely, isn't it?
Yeah.
Some of the things make sense, and you don't have to have watched Grade 1 novice hurdles to find the handicap winners. It's been lovely, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is lovely. It's a mixture of lovely and also sort of slapping your forehead and going, I can't believe I backed a horse drawn 5.
You can use advantage play, can't you?
Yeah.
You're using when you say top 8 perm in the closer there.
Yeah.
You can that's advantage play. That's different, slightly different from punting where you're just watching replays going, oh, that's a good horse, blah blah. That's proper punting, really, isn't it? It's
I mean, it was obvious at the end of the day, wasn't it? But I mean, at the start of the day, it wasn't, because there was no draw bias yesterday.
Yeah.
Because a Bullet Point would not have got so close to winning a Hunt Cup, would it?
Well, unless he comes out next time out and wins by 5 lengths, in which
well,
case...
well, yeah, but I mean, he didn't win by far on his side, did he? You know what I mean? So
I do feel like it gets worse throughout the week, whether it's because the ground gets quicker or the jockeys all start to panic and go...
Well, you saw that in the last, didn't you? Because the jockeys just tacked across. Anything drawn, about 13?
I mean, you know, is it uneven watering? Because the last couple of days, as the going stick said, it was pretty much even. In fact, it was faster on the far side on day one.
You always say that.
He said, but it evened up at like 8:30 in the morning. It looked like it was pretty even yesterday.
Yeah.
And then today's stand side considerably faster than the centre and a little bit faster than far side on their go and stick readings. So better job with the water, maybe.
Yeah, possibly. Well, or maybe you can water it all you want, but it's. The way the track rides is you know,
no, but I've seen
the topography is natural.
I've seen it happen years again. One of my favourite horses, bless him, when he won the Britannia. I told everybody to back him like 2 weeks beforehand, and I still hadn't had a bet. And he was 20 to 1 then. He was 40 to 1 on the day because he was on the wrong side, and I didn't back him because he had no chance. What do you do? Gagged up.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so yes, from what we've seen today, you want to be on the stand side tomorrow, but whether that will hold after the night's watering is another matter.
Wow. Yeah, and also, like, it's not even the water, like you said, because you also think surely, all the jockeys are going to come and bunch down here, and then suddenly, for the Wokingham, they'll go, should we go down the middle, lads? Mix it up a little bit. Why not? So yeah, you're right. But I mean, to be fair, you could also make an argument that the best horses win the races. I mean, Never So Brave, like I said, had that Jersey form last year. I mean, who knew that Chester form was so good? That Chester race, first, second, and third in that Chester race, and finished first, third, and fourth in the Buckingham Palace. But you can make an argument. There's, apart from Le Bot, which I'm glad Graham Rodway is not on the show tonight because it was a frustrating day for him in many, many ways. Apart from Le Bot should have won the Britannia, everything else, best horse in the race won.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, on the round course, you got some good rides off the front. Not often you sort of get them nicking it off the front at Ascot. And but yeah, in the stand side, it's just been exactly as you described.
Yeah. What did you make of today? Did they turn into the home straight in the Gold Cup? I said to you, we still don't know that Illinois stays, and you said Ryan Moore is riding him like he doesn't, and then he started to wave back and forth. Did he? Clearly he stayed. He finished second in a Gold Cup, but he got outstayed by a horse who'd been there, done that.
Definitely got outstayed.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. It's a really tough one, that, because he won't have run. In fact, he hasn't run within maybe £7 of his best. That's the sort of received wisdom of a horse that's run its race and a horse that could be said to stay if it runs within half a stone of its best.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure he has today. So yeah, and the other thing to consider, of course, he'll never have to run over such a test of stamina again. Well, until next year's Gold Cup.
Yeah.
All the Cup races test stamina less than that. It was a fast time on the Gold Cup today. You know, I thought it was a great ride off the front by Buick on Trollerman. You know, wound it up just far enough out. It's how jockeys tend to ride the chase track at Ascot, isn't it? A jockey in front and just go about 4 or 5 out, just go, okay, then I can get home from here, and just start winding it up from there. You don't see it on the flat course as much. But I thought that's what Buick was sort of doing today. He knew he was on a horse that he knew stayed, and he rode the sting out of Illinois. Simple as that.
Well, and also after yesterday, you're full of confidence, aren't you? You know Gosden's banging him in. The horse stays. It was a confident ride, I thought. Thoughts on Charles Darwin in the first Keels? Because again, one of the first horses to actually be talked up as a superstar in the Norfolk and actually win the race.
Yeah, absolutely, and he looked very good, didn't he? It's been a sort of signature of the O'Brien 2-year-olds, and he's won all the big 2-year-old races, and they've all kicked in the afterburners about a furlong and a half out, and they, starting to think, they're coming under pressure a bit, and the next thing you know, whoosh, they've gone. He's clearly very good.
And then they just got the Albany. Yeah, he's got the favourite in the Albany, the favourite in the Chesham as well.
Exactly, yeah. And he won't stop talking about Albert Einstein, though, will he? My conspiracy theory head tells me that no, he's never going to run again, so they've got to make a stallion out of him somehow. But let's hope we do see him, because apparently he's supposed to be better than all of these.
Yeah, which is quite worrying, isn't it, to a certain extent for everyone else. Anyway, what else? Hello to everyone on the chat, by the way. To Paul Tolliver, to Frizzy Red, to Matthew McCaffrey, to Prometheus, to Robert Ballard, to Destiny Sounds, to Eden JS, to Tom Leach, Ray Stevenson, and many, many more. What else have we got? Prometheus says, Keels and Ross thinking of decorating an Indian restaurant. Can you give me a better look at your shirts? Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Paul Tolliver says it's the worst Gold Cup ever. Admittedly, yeah.
There's worse Gold Cups than that. You've got
No, who's top of the? Who's top? If you
worst
think
Gold Cups.
Oh, Lord Windermere.
Nice, lovely stuff. Oh, I've missed you, Keels. I really have missed you. And also, Graham yesterday was saying, the best man for the straight track at Ascot, Jamie Spencer, very happy. He won't be happy after Le Bot today. And Dave Brown says, little stat, Ross, Jamie Spencer is now 6 from 120 over the last 5 years at Ascot. Can he stop St. Royal Ascot well? I mean, to be fair, look, Jeremy Spencer's, I don't think it's unfair to say his best days are behind him, because those best days were very, very good indeed.
Yeah.
So
he's also, what, is he 50 now?
I was going to say, yeah, it's mad, isn't it? It's absolutely mad. And the Mighty Gamer says, I knew Keels was a lefty. As for the rest, any other today? Seconds all my life, says Prometheus. And one more person. Oh, he said, Lebot let me down for a £5 lucky 15. 7s, 8s and 2s, the other winners. So, look, we've got 2 more days to go. So there's plenty more time to get involved. Although, to be fair, a lot of well-backed horses have gone in to today, so quite a few of you have got money to play with as we head into Friday, and we'll get stuck into those cards in just a second. But if you are watching right now, I know that DJ was trying to ramp up the likes on the morning show, and we need to show him who's boss. So let's get the lights on tonight's show, shall we? If we beat the morning show, then Keels will play table tennis against one selected viewer. That's what I've decided. It's tonight's prize, and he'll beat you. Okay, we'll be in after this.
Probably won't.
Okay, sign up to Racing Post Plus, and like I said, remember, put the surname of your favourite tipster, followed by the number 10, and you'll get a discount on that. And coming up, you get Keels's and Tom's best bets ahead of time as well. And Chris Cook's been speaking to the Godolphin gang about the chance of Shadow of Light ahead of the Commonwealth Cup. And Catherine McRae and David Jennings will be on track giving you live action on our live blog as well. So sign up to that now if you haven't done so already. Let's crack on to Friday then, the Albany Stakes. And your favourite here, well, what do you know? It's a Ballydoyle 2-year-old, and it is Signora at 9-4, Fitzseller at 5-1, Venetian Sun at 6-1, Green Sense at 8-1, Gold Digger at 8-1, Eponema Queen is 10s, Valentina 12s, Tahalel is 16-1, and then it is bigger prices the rest. 17 run here for the Albany Stakes, and I'm going to come to you first, Keith, partly because. Well, I don't know. I feel we could throw stats in, we could throw all sorts of things in, but quite frankly, they keep backing the Ballydoyle 2-year-olds. They keep absolutely bolting up. And when I looked at the start of the week, this was probably the one I fancied the most.
Well, there's 2 ways you can go about it, isn't there? Just back O'Brien in these 2-year-old races, or just back the highest drawn.
Yeah, possibly.
The money's been, I mean, it's 17, so it's not quite the same as a Britannia or a Hunt Cup. But I happen to be fancying Eponema Queen in this race. She's drawn 17-17. She's been getting back. She was, when I was looking sort of lunchtime, she was 14-16s. So the money is nibbling in for her too. She's being quite popular in the overnight betting. Just one of those, bout the good horse alarm, you know. I got the good horse alarm at the Curragh. She battered a good field of novices in that race. 5.5 lengths she's won. A good time, certainly for a 2-year-old.
Yep.
And she's been bought for what we can assume is big money since.
When they were, I mean, they backed her very, very heavily on debut as well. So I would suggest that they.
Apparently, Adrian Murray's come out since and said, "Oh, she was 75% fit." You should have told who backed her into 7-2, then, shouldn't you?
Well, I mean, but then you get an extra bit on top of the sale price, I guess.
Well, I
just imagine what she's like at 100%, guys.
Well, yes, and she has been bought for big money in the meantime. Well, I say big. I have assumed big money. She was bought for $4.5 as a yearling. I suspect she's gone for an awful lot more than that subsequently.
I mean, given what some of the, the Goff sale the other day, even 85 rated handicappers going for $400,000 or whatever, then
silly money at the sales these days, isn't it? Absolutely obscene. But she's. I mean, another thing I like about Eponema Queen is the sire Sandringham, proper Ascot horse when he was racing, and obviously he had a 2-year-old winner. Ain't nobody who's running in the 305 actually, and they'll be worth 66-1 shots. But so Sandringham at Ascot as well is another one that I quite like the look of. So yeah, I just think a lot going for a horse who this morning or this afternoon was 14s, 12s. You know, high single figures is getting towards her price more, but you know she's still want to flag up, and she's exactly the right place you want to be.
Okay, she is currently a 10-1 shot. Albeit, I mean, weird, and this is weird, but the one negative I had for a horse like Eponema Queen is, she might. I mean, 75% fit, but she won by 5.5 lengths. And actually, a lot of the 2-year-old skills this week that are bolted up elsewhere have been beaten by ones who have kept a bit back and maybe won by narrow margins.
Well, it is amazing. You get a lot, and you get a lot of favourites, especially in the Chesham, that win by wide margins and get beat. I think 3 of the last 7 of favourites that got 3 of the last 4 favourites that got beat in the Chesham had won by wide margins on the debut. So a warning for those who backed Charlie Appleby's Trian Moore. Yeah.
In contrast to Signora, of course, and to be fair, I mean, she finished 3rd in a Group 3, which is the same level as this, and she's beautifully bred, as you would expect, but she travelled like a dream, and it just looked like she didn't know what to do when Wayne Lord and asked her.
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, they don't mind them getting beat first time out, do they? O'Brien's. I mean, he's come here with horses that at least 2 of his Chesham winners were beaten in maidens first time out, and then came straight here and were well backed and won.
Yeah.
So it's certainly not a negative. We know how much they come on. She's, probably almost certainly the one to beat. Both Sire and Dan were Royal Ascot winners. Obviously Frankel, but Heartache.
The Queen Mary?
On the Queen Mary, I think it was. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so it's a proper Ascot pedigree, you could say.
What's the danger?
Well, the 2 dangers I thought, but they both got single figure draws. But the one that finished ahead of her, Green Sense, because she's still open to improvement herself. That was trained by Joseph O'Brien, but Donica O'Brien's Ballantina I thought was a big price. Now, there's every chance she'll drift even further, given that she's in stall 4.
Yep.
I will be, advised having a look at the BHA upcoming fixtures site and 8:30 when they update it and check what the going stick's saying, because it looked very much like there was a serious advantage today. But I just really like the way she went about that win second time out of the Curragh. She's a big, strong filly, who really sort of lengthened well. I think she'd love a stiff 6 furlongs. I think there's loads of. I think there's plenty of stamina on the dam side.
Yeah, and the form of that debut was that she was behind Andabu, who finished 4th in the commentary.
Yeah, exactly. She was 4th to Andabu, was 4th in the commentary. Yeah, so I just thought that in terms of what she's done, I thought she's right up there, and it was 12 to 1 when I backed her, and since obviously gone to 16s in a place now already. So don't be surprised if she drifts further, but just keep an eye on that going stick readings and see whether they've done anything about it.
Although I would say last 4 winners of the Albany were single figure draws. And then I do think again,
it's a smaller field. They've got more of a chance, haven't they? That's the thing. They have got.
And there's more of a chance. Like you said, when there's wide margin winners, half of these trainers and owners are running. They have no idea of this.
Yeah, exactly. So half of the field probably shouldn't even be here.
Yeah.
Aren't Group 3 horses and never will be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they have got a chance, but from where she is, she's still got to come across further than most.
Yeah. Although I mean, last year, the Albany went to Fairy Godmother in box 6, and then, for example, the Big Field Handicap, the Sandringham 18 beat 33 and 28. So it's I think it's doable in this. I was quite interested as well. I thought, well, because the other horse I thought was quite interesting was Tahalel, because Fitzella recorded a really, really strong time last time out, beating her at Haydock. But Fitzella broke out of the boxes really quickly, grabbed the rail, which was favoured at Haydock, quickened away. Tahalel stumbled out of the boxes, wandered about a bit, came home really nicely. The 3rd's Frank the Form, and I thought, okay, she's really interesting. And I thought, well, yeah, but an RP, that low RPR, beaten on debut, and I had a look back, and I mean, we've had some really good. Lechunga, Sandra Camillo, and Samatar all came into this off the back of 1 run as maidens, and they went to RPRs of 78, 59, and 76 first time out, and then won. Yeah,
it's possible. Yeah, horses, 2-year-olds can improve by a country mile, and Hannon's tend to do so as well. And obviously, she's a Blue Point who costs €500,000 as a yearling.
Trainers are happy to let them improve as well off the first run, because that's why you're getting these big SPs in these 2-year-old races now, because the trainers are happy to trust the process, if you will, and let them improve second time up.
Well, and you don't want to leave your. Oh, what was that? There we go. Oh,
technical issue sorted.
There we go. Lovely stuff.
Wasn't me.
We're still on the screen. That'll do.
I know he's very smart. He's smartly dressed from the waist up, but he's causing chaos below. What were we going to say? Yeah, well, you don't want to leave your race at Haydock, do you? If you're coming to Royal Ascot second time out. I also thought, by the way, as well, we had Simmering, Ivory Madonna, Mother Earth in the last 3 or 4 years, all placed off the back of 1 run without winning as well. So, yes, good for Signora, and I thought Tahalel had a good chance.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably more open than the betting suggests, behind the favourite, who's probably the right favourite, and judging by what's been happening this week, will probably win.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it probably will, yeah. You'll think, oh, yeah, back a couple against it, and multiple.
Well, that's it. We've talked about how easy it looked today on the results, but if you were doing that and applying it before the race, we would just say Signora next.
Yeah.
So we always keep trying to not make it easy beforehand, don't we?
Absolutely. And there's someone in the comments the other day said, "Oh, you mentioned all the horses, guys. You'll surely find the winner then." I do want you to know it's also a preview show. We're not suggesting that we back 7 horses in the race. It's, that's the whole point. The whole point of form study is to go through and try and find dangers and reasons why your horse might not win. Let's have a look. What have we got here? Gold Digger for Robert Ballard. Kevin Hasnap has backed Valentina. And that's about it, I think. Right, okay, that's the Albany. Moving on to the Commonwealth Cup. Another race over 6 furlongs here, Group 1, and Shadow of Light is 2-1 favourite. Baboosh 9-2, John Quill 7-1, Whistle Jacket 9-1, Ides of March 11s, She's So Spicy at 14s, Big Mojo at 16, Sky Majesty at 18-1, and then bigger prices the rest, the likes of French Raider Rayevka, Arizona Blaze, course winner. In fact, Royal Ascot winner, of course, last year, Leah Varney, Arabian Dusk, Lady with the Lamp, Time for Sandals. Lots of horses who've been running in good group races, but are stepping up, a lot of them stepping up in grade, some of them stepping down in trip, which is definitely a case of Shadow of Light and John Quill, and has worked well for the likes of Advertise and the likes of Perfect Power, and of course, in a Sharon, who tried their hand at being milers and then thought, hey, these sprinters are a lot worse than the milers, we'll go and beat them up. So Shadow of Light is 2-1. Drawn 19 Keels, of course, and third in the Guineas, one length behind Field of Gold. However, as was the last couple of years, Charlie Appleby, he loves Newmarket, he loves Goodwood. He comes to Ascot, can't buy a winner.
Can't buy a winner, no. Some of them have, run well without winning.
Yep.
But I mean, it's got to be frustrating for him, isn't it? And he is the right favourite. I don't think anyone can argue against that. Milers do tend to be better class than sprinters, and he's very high class. He's won two Group 1s last year. He won the Dewhurst, and he won the Middle Park at 6 furlongs. Both of those were on easy ground, mind.
Yep.
This is probably easily the fastest ground he's ever run on. And there is another horse with classic form in there,
yes, and
the prices I like and prefer him just because he's a much bigger price. John Quill, he won the Greenham in very commanding fashion. That hasn't worked out too badly at all, has it? Because he's obviously been second to Henri Matisse in the French Derby. Rashabar was fourth in the in the French Guineas. Sorry, Rashabar was fourth in the Irish Guineas, and then fourth again at Field of Gold here earlier in the week.
Yep.
I know Henri Matisse got thrashed by Field of Gold, but Field of Gold is brilliant.
Yeah.
He certainly didn't let the form down by thrashing the others.
Well, Camille Pissarro was in third, and he's won a classic since.
And here's a point, right? After his last run, Andrew Baldwin said, we could go to Jersey, we could go here, there, wherever, and they've come here when the owners have got a second favourite in Baboosh, and they don't have anything in the Jersey. And he'd be 2-1 for the Jersey, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, absolutely. Probably even shorter.
He'd be a clear favourite. And so he must have been showing an awful lot to Andrew Baldwin for him to say, I think we need to be running in this Group 1.
Yeah.
That's my hope anyway.
Yeah, and again, so I had a look, in the past 25 years, though, there hasn't been a single horse with a Group 1 in Britain or Ireland over 6 furlongs having never run over a sprint trip. Oh. Which is, and I think he's on the damn side, there's loads of speed, and he shows plenty of speed, he's a keen goer. I mean, he could, I don't know, that's part of the reason why I think he's almost 7-1. I think if he'd have won over 6 furlongs as a 2-year-old or something, or they'll drop him back to 6.
You're right. What difference does it make, though? Like, how many times have seen good sprinters come back from a mile?
Oh, yeah.
And the only reason is they're bucking your stats is because of where they started at 2, and it doesn't. Yeah. It ultimately won't matter by the end, or by this point even, which is, I think you're right. Something's keeping this horse at 7s.
Yeah. I
don't know what it is.
Yeah, I don't either, because he's, to me, he should be a clear second favourite.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. I think he probably will be in the end.
What do you make of Baboosh? Because it seems that every time Joan Lyon sends over a fancied runner to take on his rivals over here, they kind of disappoint. Her being one of them last year behind Lake Victoria. I've been stung before.
I don't know if she did she handle it at Newmarket? I watched the replay and wasn't certain she enjoyed herself.
Yeah.
And she was unfit at Cork. And you put those to one side and she's progressed. I think she deserves to definitely be the shortest of the actual sprinters.
Yeah.
But the reason his market's the way it is these sprinters are not exciting me. I am finding this race tough from just because I watch the sprinters.
Yeah. Are you handicapping the sprinters?
Don't handicap them,
right?
No. But I watch them all and I'm just finding it. They're rubbish.
But they're much of a muchness, aren't they? Yeah,
they're not very good. And these milers dropping down these classic horses that are sort of classic Nearly horses should be winning if they handle the drop-in trip. And that's quite dispiriting when you just watch sprinters all the time to know that the also-rans from the beginning, not also-rans, but
they're not also-rans, are they? But it does, of course. I mean, again, it's weird though, Keels, because we're breeding for speed, but they're getting worse.
Yeah, I mean, they call it cheap speed, don't they? Like, you know what I mean? There's just too many sprinters. And
I partly wonder that's why John Quill's in here, because obviously Babouche, she's a filly.
Yeah.
But we're getting all these sprinters going to stud that weren't actually that good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So you don't know what they're
breeding up more horses that aren't actually that good.
Yeah. And the one good sprinter we've had in the last 2 years is Muhara, who's not. Muhara he gets whatever.
He gets stayers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know, so it's different. Yeah, and I think the thing with Babouche is, I think Whistlejacket was the big talking horse last year, and he's just not actually that good.
No, he isn't, is he?
Like, you know,
she beats him well.
She beats him well. Yeah, she did beat him well. There's no doubt about that. But you know, I'm just not sure that form is.
I'm not sure either. Frizzy Red, by the way, in the chat says, when was Lions' last winner at Ascot? And I looked at this, it was El Tel.
Wow.
Which was, what, 20 years ago?
How many has he had, though?
Well, he's had a few. But I looked at it because I thought, he's had a winner since El Tel.
Yeah, not.
But no. And also, look, I got pelters the other day for saying I was worried about Colin Keane on Field of Gold. Because... Again, you've had 1,000 rides at the Curragh, you're a fantastic jockey, you come over to Ascot on the biggest week of the year and you're having to take on the big boys. And everyone afterwards said, you're worried about Colin Keane, absolutely nonsense. I mean, let's be honest, I would have won on Field of Gold.
Yes. I think I would have won on Field of Gold.
Yeah, I think we could have all had a go.
Yeah. I'm not sure I'd have made it. So.
That's what we're building up to.
I'm not sure about that weight cloth. What that would be. But I'm still, look, He's ridden one winner this week, and he's had a couple of places. Ironically, he's ridden one winner. He's had a couple of places. Neither of those were for Juddmonte. I don't know. I'm just a bit. Ryan Moore's 5 from 18, I think. Murphy's 3 from 18. Buick's 2 from 16. Doyle's 2 from 15. Billy Lee 2 from 5, with 2 placed as well. I just think it's. I don't know, I was worried about the pressure of riding these horses.
There was a ride that Keane had at Ascot not that long ago where it genuinely was brought up that he might be, as...
Westover, wasn't it?
Was it Westover? Yes, it possibly was, yeah.
I have nothing against him, personally as a jockey. It's just, I do think experience. Some jockeys have their favourite tracks and they ride them a lot. And in the same way that if James Doyle went over to the Curragh, I'm sure your Moores and your Keanes and your Billy Lees would showing the best place to be.
If you can put up Spencer, now he might be gone, all that to one side. He was the Ascot straight course jockey at one point. An anti-Spencer must exist.
Yeah.
So the idea to criticise jockeys and say, I'm not sure about him at this track, must be valid in itself. Whether you're right about Keane, obviously, is its own thing.
It's still early days, but it's just a big ask. I think it's just a lot of pressure suddenly out of nowhere. Anyway, look, you've tipped John Quill. What's the next best, or the danger?
Well, the danger is the one you've got to absolutely worry about is the Fav, isn't it? I have had a couple of quid each way on Leo Varney at a big price, simply because she won last year's Queen Mary in very commanding fashion. She's obviously once further than 5 furlong now, and I just thought she was quite eye-catching on that return. She got herself in a bit of trouble. She wasn't given the hardest time either.
Yeah.
At the end of it, but was very strong at the end. And coming back here, you might squeeze her career best out of her. She's got a high draw 2, which may or may not be a good thing. Probably is, judging on today's evidence. So yeah, I hope she can run well. She's got a huge amount to find, to be fair.
Yes.
But there are bookies out there offering 4 and 5 places.
And Ascot form back to Ascot again, which brings big mojo into it as well, doesn't it?
Well, that's what I was going to mention. I mean, we've talked about John Quill already. He would be my selection in the race, but because we're lacking in depth so much here, I also would be looking at what you can take a big swing at some of these. And I think I'd be looking at that race, Big Mojo's race. I thought Diablo Rocco shaped just as well as on the day, you know. Ain't Nobody even shaped pretty well.
I was going to say, he did way too much on the front, and he shaped actually better behind Big Mojo here at the track.
And
There's a lot of Ascot horses here who could run big races.
And they're drawn 3 and 5. Yeah. The American filly, She's So Spicy, who I thought she'll go hard, won't she? And she's in 2.
Yeah.
And, you know, you've got to have doubts about American horses getting home over 6 at Ascot. Can a race that suits these fast Yanks also suit former classic horses? But she's going to make sure there's a good pace on that side. So if I was playing swingers or whatever, you know, because they're good bets to have this week, I would be looking at sort of Diablo Rocco's, Ain't Nobody's, She's So Spicy's, because there'll be big prices given what's happening on the draw bias this week. But there's no doubt, because I'm talking up these horses that I don't think an awful lot of, it tells you how interesting Jonquil might be. Yeah,
absolutely. A couple of comments. Jonquil, I'm taking 7s now, says Prometheus. Shadow of Light should win, but bet he doesn't, says Paul Tolliver. Fair enough. And also, Word to Mother says jockey ability counts for very, very little in top meetings, which I almost completely disagree with, which is why more Murphy, Buick, Doyle and Marquand have ridden multiple winners already.
And it's why what did people say after Field of Gold? What was the sort of, people said, how did Schumacher get that beat? That's jockeyship in a big race.
Fair. Okay, so Commonwealth Cup selections, Skills.
Jonquil had a small bit on Leovani.
Yeah, Jonquil, and then play the rest as you like, because there'll be options, because you'll get something big.
Yeah.
Running a big race there.
Yeah, I'll go Big Mojo and Leovani again on Ascot form. Moving on then, the Duke of Edinburgh Stakes, a 1.5 mile handicap here, and Ethical Diamond for Willie Mullins and Ryan Moore, who we all said when this horse ran on in a juvenile hurdle at Punchestown, or was it Leopardstown a few years ago, we said, oh yeah, Ascot, 2025. 7-2, Alger 5-1, Mount Atlas 6-1, War Room 6-1, Hand of God 6-1, French Duke 13-2, Siege of Troy 11, Stress Free 14s, bigger the rest, 19 runners, favourite drawn 7 here. If it wasn't Mullins and Moore, I think that would have drifted a lot. But I know that you two definitely fancy a horse in this. You both agree with it. But Keels, you've got to worry, and Keels is going to put it to bed in a second. So tell us why you both fancy French Duke.
He absolutely is. Now, French Duke, now, if you were watching Ascot last year, he might have been one of the eye catchers of the whole meeting in that King George V, wasn't he? Handicap debut, didn't have a clue what he was doing, got hampered on the run down to Swinley Bottom, gave the outside to nobody, just about hit the front a furlong and a half out, finished 6th. Massive, massive eye catcher. There's a good chance they put it in the diary there and then. You know, Duke of Edinburgh next year. Yep. He went off and he won at Glorious Goodwood, and he looked a little bit, you know, he gradually got on top in that race, but they finished at something like 116% in that race. So, you know, they all look slow at that because they're all quickening. Yep. And then he went on and he had a really good second over at the course on his last start in September. And I was worried, the worry was, he's not been seen since September. Will he be fit? Yes, I know it's the plan, but that guarantees you nothing. However, Keels, who actually does the work.
You posed the questions.
I've done loads of work this week that hasn't really paid off, I've got to say, but you know, let's hope that changes. But yeah, I mean, he did say it's been the plan since September to come back for this race, and obviously he's run 2 great races there. He did miss an intended race at York, so you know, it hasn't entirely gone to plan. But Varian's record with horses coming back off a break in handicaps at Royal Ascot is exceptional. He's run 15 since 2018, and 8 have hit the first 3, and another one was 4th. So that's pretty good. I dare say you wouldn't be able to find anyone with a better record than that.
Yeah.
You know, so I've got no issue whatsoever with a Varian horse coming off a break.
And he's having a very good season on not on the quiet necessarily. But
no, not the quiet. Not, you know, he's already had a winner this week. Some of his others have run well. You know, he's going well. So.
And he's drawn 15. I mean, it's similar vibes to the winner in the final race on day 1, whose name has completely escaped me. French Master. Similar vibes in terms of, you know, clearly a little bit quirky, not necessarily the full article last year, but there's definitely more to come. He's drawn 15 as well, and we pretty much know how he's going to be ridden.
Yeah.
So it all looks in plan. And that form from last year, the Reverend, was quite eye-catching in the other form race in here, which is the Alma race. I presume that's the one he missed.
Yeah. Yes, it might well have been. It might well have been that's the one that he missed. Yeah.
Anything else in the plus column for French Duke?
Oh, I think we've nailed it there. I mean, he's got a great chance, hasn't he?
What's the danger, or what else did you
well,
like?
I don't know. I didn't like Ethical Diamond at the price. He is drifting now. I mean, he was 7-4 favourite last year.
Yeah.
He got beat off a £2 lower mark, and all he's done is run over hurdles since. And yes, he was fourth in the county hurdle, but he hasn't done anything that his flat ability said he shouldn't have done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's just run to what he is. So
he's making winning look very difficult.
Yes,
isn't he?
I'm not sure he's 100% straightforward or getting any better. That was, we'll wait and see. It's Willie Mullins, Ryan Moore, isn't it? And the last two winners were drawn in single figures at this race. I know the previous 8 were drawn in double figures.
Yeah.
But it can be done, and if anyone can do it, it's Ryan Moore. Although he got himself in a right mess with reaching high earlier in the week, so it can also go wrong.
And ironically enough, the single figure winner last year was given a fantastic ride by Colin Keane, who managed to get off of the rail and come all the way down the middle out of absolutely nowhere.
Absolutely, yeah. I'd give Mount Atlas a chance.
Yeah.
Quite like Mount Atlas. I've just seen that Tom Siegel's tipped it as well. He's run well here. He won a race here, finished strongly as well when he won it.
Yeah. And I mean, he wasn't far behind Absurd and Al Kareem in Illinois last time, was he? So.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, stress-free is a big price.
He's
a big price, isn't he?
So look, I had him down. I was concerned that this horse didn't want to win, but I've come round to the idea that it's just stamina. He just doesn't. He's not quick enough to win. He just doesn't have that extra gear over shorter. He's won over hurdles at Musselburgh back in February. He's finished second at York Dalmashaire, where at the time I thought he didn't want to go by. But it was all off the front. It was York, as it always is. Almashaire hung over to the rail.
Yeah, and David O'Mara is suddenly finding a way to win with these horses that don't want to win. Mersky's got a couple in the bag this season as well already, isn't he?
Darkness, bounce back.
Darkness, yeah, exactly. So I could certainly see him running well.
Yeah, and again, box 18, straight down the middle. What was it? Get Shirty won for the similar collections a year or two ago. What's the next best for you in this?
I was looking at Stress Free too. Just for much reason, you see O'Mara is getting better with them, or not getting better, but he is really getting wins at these horses that you think are quite exposed. So yeah, he was on the list for me. I'm afraid I'm sitting here desperate to offer something else.
No, it's fine. It's quite good that you didn't, because when you actually just fancy one horse strongly in a race, sometimes you're like, couldn't find anything to beat it. So that's good.
It. Yeah, it usually is. But this French, watch that King George V back on your Racing Post Plus, because he says Varian says since September it's been the aim. I'll advance that by 3 months.
Yeah. Dave Brown says going to take a chance on Hand of God back after last year's success. I'd like to see more at Newmarket. Hopefully it was to blow the Cobs away. And then to be fair,
it was a shocking run, wasn't it?
It was,
But
then King's Gambit
ran really well. Might have won with a better ride. Al Mosher's obviously got a chance. The second favourite, Carl Burke says he's a group horse in the making. Wouldn't read too much into the fact that Clifford Lee rides and James Doyle has chosen French Duke because he doesn't know Al Mosher. He's not been on it. So
it would be a weird move, wouldn't it, to switch the jockeys for no reason?
It puts a bit of confidence into French Duke, but nothing more. They mean what they say when they think they think he's ready.
Yeah. What else have we got? Any other selections? Diddly-dee-dee-dee. Simon Sorrell has a handicap winner at Ascot almost annually, says Word to Mother. Stress Free and HMS President each way for Robert Blackburn. And Frizzy Red is going for War Rooms. Okay, that's the Duke of Edinburgh then. Let's move on to the Coronation Stakes. Group 1 contest for the fillies on the round mile. And like I said, the classic generation have had plenty of talking points this year. Of course, the Field of Gold Fun and Games, and we've had the She's Perfect and Zaragana Ding Dong over in France as well, and Falakaya, who we were talking about the good horse alarm. Crikey! I mean, if you didn't watch that Pretty Polly and think, wow, this is an animal and a half, then you're probably watching the wrong ways. But interesting that she's dropping back to the mile here. Falakaya is 9-4, Zaragana 5-2, January 6, Contiki 8-1, Chantilly Lace 11-1, Exactly 12-1, Flight 16, Circine 18s, and Bigger the Rest. Again, it would have been nice to see, I think, your She's Perfects and your Bedtime Stories, rather than going to France, lined up to take on Zaragana again. That would have made a really interesting coronation. And the favourite is Falakaya Keels, who won the Pretty Polly. One horse in the past 25 years has won the Pretty Polly and come here. That was Run Wild, who finished dead last, and is the Dam of Flight in this. So, everything goes in a circle. But, front running over 10 at Newmarket to a mile at Ascot. It's a switch.
It is a switch. I mean, she's drawn well enough to front run again, didn't she? She did look very good, didn't she? She looked
very good.
Potentially exceptional, but it is a different trip. She's running against considerably better horses, faster horses too. She's just short enough, isn't she, on what she's done, I think. I'm not saying she can't win. She certainly can. She can improve again, and who knows whether she turns out to be the best miler around of the fillies. We don't know. I mean, and of course it's a substandard weight with no Lake Victoria and no British 1,000 guineas winner either.
Yeah, of course. I was trying to think. I thought there was a real glaring omission, and I couldn't remember who it was.
Yeah, exactly. So neither of the two British or Irish guineas winners are in the field.
Yeah.
So it makes it look like a substandard race. So you would think the French guineas winner should be clear. Fav. I mean, she's a fair way clear on the actual form, even if she got the race in the stewards' room.
Yeah.
So I think she's probably the one to beat. I don't know, to be honest. It's one of the races I really hated.
Yeah.
I got far more interest in 30-runner handicaps than actually trying to find the winner of this race, because I just found it really trappy.
Well, I think partly because you want to see. You want to see it as we did on Tuesday. You want to see all the best 3-year-old form coming together. And that
exactly.
Has
I can't go in there with that much confidence.
No.
That's the thing. And confidence that I've got something at a real value price. I was half interested in January the moment Ryan Moore's name went next to her name, but then of course she halved in price and is even less than half now. It's one of those that runs in the Irish Guineas first time out. Almost certainly need it. It's going to come on an absolute ton.
Yeah.
Was quite consistent without looking anything special last year. But the other one in the race of O'Brien's was only a length and a bit behind Zaragano, and Ryan Moore is on this one.
Yeah.
That tells you that it's got to be showing something.
Yeah. And the Dam was second in the QE2, I think, and also they've been coming up. The O'Brien horses, first one to second. Been a massive step.
Absolutely, yeah, and it happens year in, year out as well, doesn't it? So that was one for me. But I just thought that, if I'm tipping something in the paper, can I actually make a form case for it being 13-2 or anywhere near it?
No.
I mean, normally I would poo-poo their chances purely on form.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So no, I couldn't put her up in the end.
The form argument, I guess, is that if Desert Flower is the best filly, miling filly, that's probably not the best way of putting it, and that January finished second to her twice last year and is bred to improve as she gets a little bit older, that's the form angle, not the Irish.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, you could be right. Yeah, but she does need to find an awful lot on what she's done, doesn't she?
She does. What did you make of the Coronation?
Trust a good horse alarm.
Yeah. I mean, it was final 2 furlongs. It was going mad, wasn't it?
I don't think it knew how many legs it had.
Yeah,
it was that little a clue about what was going on. I was so green still in her second run, and she still won like that. It was just a little bit of trust a good horse alarm for me. Yeah.
Okay. Are you concerned about dropping back in trip, joining box 2? Ascot very, very different to what she's been asked to do.
Ascot's very different, and that is the trip doesn't worry me remotely, because there was talk of her going up in distance after the Pretty Polly, and inside we're just all screaming no, don't do that.
Yeah.
She's very fast.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm pleased to see her over a stiff mile. She's won on the all weather, which is always is a little plus for Ascot, but there's nothing that quite prepares you for Ascot. So there's a little bit of that, but ultimately, there's so much going for her. There was similar. You could have said a little bit the same about Ombudsman was. He'd never seen anything like Ascot. But they do win sometimes when they're good horses.
Yeah,
and she's.
Ombudsman he'd won right-handed a few times, so he'd had a similar-ish. I mean,
he had run at right-handed tracks, and he'd won at Deauville, hadn't he? And he'd run okay at Sandringham, although he threw his head in the air at Sandringham. That was my sort of worry about him on Wednesday. But he looked perfectly fine on Wednesday there. But yeah, so I'm trusting that angle. She is looking extremely good. She gets a shot in a Group 1. Often in the Coronation Stakes, you do get the English, Irish, French Guineas winners all meeting.
Yeah.
Not got that this year. It's a chance for a horse like her to usurp them all, and I'm going to take her to do it, Valakaya.
Okay. I'm going to back Extra Place Simmering in this as well before we move on. 3 runs on Good to Firm, second to Fairy Godmother at Ascot last year, beat Betty Clover in the Princess Margaret on fast ground at Ascot last year, and then finished third in the Guineas behind Desert Flower and Flight. That's 3 runs on Good to Firm, 3 absolute blinding performances. I don't like the cheap pieces personally. That does insinuate, as we've said a couple of times this week, that she ain't necessarily going through with it, but I think she'll be ridden for a place, and I think at 33s, like she did at Newmarket, she could run on into the frame. Because, like you said, it's much of a muchness, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, absolutely. And having that Ascot form and the cheek pieces. I mean, we've had a few, but you're right. It does when they put them on. What you want at Ascot to be able to travel. Yeah. And the cheek pieces are an admission. They're not travelling well enough.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've got my notes in here, but group horses in group races at Ascot with first-time cheek pieces have had a shocking record. So.
The cheek pieces are nowadays the go-to headgear for most trainers, aren't they? Whenever, one of the things I always do when I look at the racings that are on the telly and that I'm covering, I look at trainers' records with first-time headgear, because there's always loads of first-time headgear, and 70% of them will be cheek pieces, pretty much every time.
Is there a shortage of visors these days?
I don't know. It's very weird.
Yeah, they're very fashion, aren't they?
You don't get many visors these days, do you?
You only try a visor once you've tried cheek pieces and blinkers and they both failed.
Yeah. Or if you get a job as a croupier in a casino, then you have to wear one. Contiki looks quite good, says Robert Blackburn. To be fair, she did look good at York, and she's unbeaten, of course. A few people think Jaragano is a few sandwiches short of a picnic, which is certainly possible. Frizzy Red said, ask Keith about New Bay as a sire at Ascot. I think his progeny do well at it. Well, while Keith looks at that, we will crack on. While Keith looks at that, in fact, you're going to like the stream, aren't you? And potentially win a chance to play ping pong, table tennis, whiff-waff, depending on where you're from, with Mr. Paul Kealy. And he will thrash the life out of you. He absolutely will.
You get somebody who actually play and is reasonably young, and they'll absolutely hammer me.
He's hustling you. I'm telling you, he's hustling you. He really is. Okay, right. Let's move on to the Sandringham then. The straight mile here, 28 of them running here, and the man to my left is going to make a good case for a horse who's been smashed off the boards, and that is new 5-1 favourite. I don't think that's got anything to do with the box in 28 here. Missed Nightfall 5-1, Dash of Azure 7-1, Sweet Chariot 8, Supermodel 8s, Alpha Wrecker 10s with Silver Ghost, and 11's Bar. What price was this when you were writing your copy yesterday, Keels? Or today, whenever you did.
It was 16-1 3/4 of an hour ago. What's going on?
Was that before? That was definitely before the Buckingham Palace, I imagine.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. Yeah.
Oisin Murphy, box 28.
Oisin Murphy, box 28. Yeah, you can't argue, can you? No, look, she ran behind Silver Ghost. Well, I thought that was a really good fillies race. I've actually backed both of them. Silver Ghost is in there as well. She's £6 worse off. She got the run down the outside, whereas the jockey on Miss Nightfall tried to pick his way through and found a bit of trouble. And she was the only horse who finished as fast as Silver Ghost in there. And I think Silver Ghost is one of those rapidly improving fillies. She's won very commandingly on her last two. She's £6 better off, so she has to go very close. She did stay 7 furlong well enough on heavy ground last year, even though she got beat when favourite. The issue is she's a Sansamali. It's all sprint bred, really. Yep. She obviously gets 7 furlong very well. Will she get a stiff mile? I got put off misinformation the other day because I didn't think she'd get a stiff mile, and she absolutely gagged up. So would I back her at 5-1? No.
No, not a hope in hell.
That's just too short now. But she might win. If she does, I've got a little bit bigger than that. But But I've had loads of great prices this week and not got much to show for it, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually, especially on the flat, I absolutely hate sort of anti-post bet on the flat, because the amount of times where 10-1 on this because of 5-2, and then you think, well, it's badly drawn after a furlong. I don't fancy it anymore once you got that price. But I think the reason she's been backed is that 28 box.
Oh, absolutely.
And what's happened today?
Zero question.
Yeah. I mean, she's obviously got a form chance, but now she is artificially short, which starts to make a few of the horses a little bit interesting.
This market must have gone tonto, because Dash of Azure was a horse I quite fancied, and she was twice that price a couple of hours ago. Now into 7-1. Yeah. It's something's the market's obviously completely rejigged itself off the back of what's happened in the later races today. Well,
Supermodel was a fairly comfortable favourite, but she's in box 3 now. She quickened up really well. A very, very strong time at Nottingham last time out. It was really impressive, and Haggis is having an absolute worldie of a week after. You think maybe there's a plan all along. Everyone's like, oh, Haggis's horses aren't running very well. Well, they are now at Royal Ascot, where you want to get the winners.
Well, that winner of the King George V today was classic Haggis, and that's going to go off single figures for the Ledger. Yeah, it will do. Yeah, Supermodel's obviously got to have a chance. There's a few I thought was interesting. I mean, Betty Clover.
What a horse Betty Clover
is. She's my solid second in. If I decide Dash of Azur's too short, her each way, you know, she's drawn 23.
Yep.
You know, she's in the right sort of place. She's your each way, she's your swinger horse, she's all that sort of stuff. I'm surprised she doesn't come out as better handicapped than she is. I mean, she's off 100. She's got some good form. I mean, she's been second by a nose to Crimson Advocate, who won.
I mean, she's off 100 and she's finished. Yeah, she's beaten her nose on the line by a horse the other day who's probably going to be 116, 117, something.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they're going to adjust. There must be something holding that form down. She's got a 99 RPR for that.
Yeah.
And you need, if you're off 100 to be top rated in this race, you need to be looking at pushing 110. So she's quite a way down that. She's obviously
Is it unfashionable trainer syndrome?
Possibly so, but I mean, what you'll find, because it's a listed race at Goodwood, without having looked, my guess is that there's a rag too close, and that's limited how high they could rate that race. Was it? Is that the case?
Yeah, maybe. Araseg was a length back on 93, so yeah, possibly. But Crimson Advocate's come out and won. Bright Thunder's come out and placed at.
Oh yeah, it's
at Epsom. And Betty Clover herself's gone on to finish third over at Chantilly in a Group 3 as well. So.
Yeah, it's really good form, and yeah, the Group 2 at Chantilly's been rated low as well. But it's, yeah, I think she needs to be good to win a race like this of 100. I don't think the ratings are quite doing her justice.
Talk up Dash of Azure then, because
yes.
she's looked a work in progress until last time out, where she was smashed off the boards on handicap debut and put the race to bed in the blink of an eye. And
it was her first run after however long off, you know, 6 months off or something. Won with her head in the air, didn't she?
Yeah.
And in fact, to the point that that's almost the worry. You know, she won,
yeah.
The head went up and you thought, oh, I don't want that head going up at Ascot.
Yeah.
But, you know, she's obviously very good. She's bred stoutly on the dam side. She's Blue Point, obviously, he's quite a speedy sire, but lots of good horses, lots of good winners at Ascot.
Yeah.
The dam stayed a mile 4. She certainly stayed a mile 2, Miss Dashwood. And she was a smart filly as well. She got to about 97 RPR.
Was she a black with the white?
Black with white spots, I think.
With the white spots. Helena Springfield? No. My brain's
Buffalo's sister.
There's so many. There's so many.
Yeah, sorry. So Dad
Helena Springfield. Yeah.
So no, I know the colour. Those colours. And yeah, she was a pretty good middle distance filly. 97 RPR, as I say, I think. Yeah. And so there's the because this horse has only run over 7, never gone anywhere near a mile, and even at all weather tracks.
There's more to come.
There's more to come at these trips. I'd be more confident if he'd put his head down a bit more at Kempton, but I'm quite willing to chalk that up to an experience.
Yeah, and she's finished second to Bermuda Longtail at Kempton last year. She's off 86. Bermuda Longtail's a 100 horse. So.
Second to Desert Flower on her debut as well.
Yeah, it's not bad form, is it? Anything else, Keels, for you?
Yeah, Oolong Poo Bong.
Yes.
Ran really, really well. Won really nicely at Haydock over 7 furlongs. Very strong at the end. I thought she had a real big chance, or he had a real good chance.
Yeah. Okay. I thought it was another name for.
It was a she.
It
was another name for table tennis.
For ping pong. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. The one I quite liked in here, apart from obviously I think Betty Clover will run a blinder, but Zagata interested me quite a bit. She's a Gayat filly who finished second to Victory Queen at Newmarket. Again, that form I thought was fairly strong for the grade. And then next time out, ran over 10 at Newmarket, came from the back, looked like she was going to win easily, and I think she just kind of run out of puff, but she just got there. But the fourth of that day was Understudy, who finished second in the Ribblesdale earlier on. The third is Silent Love, who won next time out, is rated 90. She's here off 88, drawn 25, with Holly Doyle in the saddle. So I thought she's one of the horses in here. You know, Tom says about could blow the race apart. Handicap debut, she could be better than 88, I thought.
Yeah, could be. Definitely. The top weight is very talented. Tabiti. She's a Group 3 winner.
Yeah.
But she's got to trap 1.
Yeah. But surely you've got to go over that. You can't trap 1. You can't come over this side, Keels, can you?
Well, no, you can't. I mean, you'd like to see him. You know.
Well, you want a blaster in 2 or 3, don't you?
You'd like to see him. You know, stick to their own side. I mean, you know, because if you come across quickly, you're losing tons of ground.
Yeah.
You know, but we'll have to wait and see, won't we?
Actually, yes, producer Sam. Chris Stickles said, I thought today's racing went really well. The track is very fast and there's some fast times getting posted. We'll water tonight at the moment. I'm planning to put 6mm on the straight and 5 on the round course. There's no other change and the track will be full width for the remainder of the meeting.
Stand side.
Yeah, well, he hasn't suggested that, so, you know, unless you know, if I was clocking the course, I wouldn't put any, and I'd play the trifectas. That's what I'd do. But Miss Nightfall 5-1 then for the Sandringham Stakes. I want to be very clear. I'm not suggesting anyone's doing any of that kind of stuff. But that's why I'm not clerk of the course. I'm in here. Okay, anything else? That's just. I don't think there's any standout selections here in this one from the viewers. So let's go for the King Edward VII Stakes Group 2 here. And Amilok is 6-4 favourite. Zaran 11-4. Puppet Master 4-1. Nightwalker 12-1. Opportunity 14s. Wimbledon Hawkeye 14s. Regal Ulixes 16-1. Galveston 25-1. And then bigger prices at the rest here. And last week I thought Amilok was going to turn up in the Queen's Vase and he was going to lead them a merry dance and absolutely murder them. And then he has turned up for this instead, which it probably isn't necessarily such a bad thing because he's a mile and a half round Ascot. It's going to be a fair old stamina test. But, correct me if I'm wrong, and I don't believe I am, Rafe Beckett, group winners at Royal Ascot?
Struggling.
0?
Yeah.
Really?
Career? Not a single one.
Can't think of one off the top of my head.
Plenty of handicaps.
I mean, I've backed a few of his this week. I mean, 13th of 30, Brave Mission. 19th of 30, Mr. Chaplin. 10th, Consolidation. 7th of 11, Lady Vivian. 9th of 19, 27th of 30, 8th of 13.
So running okay.
Oh, I don't know. They're not running that okay.
But he's also a trainer who, you know, reputationally does really well on soft ground, and it is lightning fast out there.
Yes, it is. But I mean, Amilok will be okay. I mean, he's on at Goodwood twice. I mean, he looked like he hated the track last time, didn't he? I mean, he was actually going nowhere at one point, and then he absolutely flew. But I mean, we were talking about this race earlier on. How close would opportunity have finished to him? Yeah.
That's a daft price. 14 to 1 is a daft price.
Yeah, and you know why he's in this race and not the King George V, don't you? Because of who trains him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because Merchant was like, "I'll take this one, lad," and you have that one.
Yeah, so I mean that's got to have a right chance, isn't it? I mean, it's not. You know, I haven't had a bet in the race because I do like Amilok.
Yeah.
And I think probably a more straightforward track will suit his.
Is he 6-4 for this race though? Is he a 64?
He's shorter. He's short enough, isn't he?
And I made him 6-4 for that Queen's Vase because it was awful.
Well, yes, absolutely. It was a race for him, that wasn't it?
Yeah.
I saw he caught my eye in the Queen's Vase, and Opportunity caught my eye in the King George V, and they both turned up in the King Edward VII.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a strange one, isn't it? I mean, you could argue that Wimbledon Hawkeye has the best form. James Owen has a really good strike rate, but best part of 30% with cheek pieces. But what are they doing on a keen horse like Wimbledon Hawkeye? Yeah. I don't get that at all.
Well, as we said, it's not cheap pieces in group races at Royal Ascot have not necessarily been a good thing overall. Yeah, he is. I mean, he's the form. He's starting to look like one of those tripless wonders, isn't he? Where they don't quite know
he's just not quite good. I mean, the thing is, you'll probably get left behind as these 3-year-olds keep improving. So they're desperate to find a good race for him now. So that's the sort of horse he looks like to me.
Yeah, I mean, look, Aidan O'Brien won every Derby and Oaks trial going, then went and won the Derby and the Oaks, and Puppet Master here is third favourite.
Yeah.
Is there an argument for him? Surely there's an argument for him.
Well, of course there's an argument for him. I mean, he's probably got a few pounds to find on what he's actually done, and he probably shouldn't have won the Lingfield trial.
Well, we're all waiting for the second from the Lingfield trial.
We're wondering where Stay True's going to go because if that was given any sort of if there was any sort of urgency in the ride, it'd have won.
Gordon Stakes would be my
possibly something like that.
He's in the Irish Derby.
He's only seventh. He's only seventh for the Irish Derby, isn't he? So we'll see.
So everybody saw it, is what that means. Yeah. Everybody saw it.
Yeah.
But again, he was. He's fourth to Delacroix with Lambourne in second at Leopard Stanley on the Puppet Master, and again, I mean, he's just got so there's so many to choose from, and we keep saying that this. Half the horses were expected to turn up in other races.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I mean, he's got a chance. He's not that exciting for me, to be honest.
Yeah. And a quick word on. Well, I tell you, is there anything else you fancy?
Well, Opportunity was a sort of each way, but I thought Zaran. I think the alarm went off a little bit with Zaran at Leopardstown, outside to nobody. It's very rare they come that wide and that far back at Leopardstown, and he made it look quite easy.
Yeah.
I was quite happy to put him up potentially as a selection at 9-2, 11-4 now. He's also getting to be a little short, but he looked pretty good.
Yeah. He was the horse on debut back in April. He was possibly the unluckiest loser of all time. I think I've never seen a horse who went past 5 horses in 50 yards and got beat ahead. So he's got that in his locker. And remember, of course, this is the Calandagam race. It could be a very similar run down the outside from box 11.
Absolutely, yeah. And he's already done the wide outside and storm home thing at Leopardstown last time and did it very, very well. Yeah. Not sure the form's up to much, but he looked good. Yeah.
Okay, what are we playing? Oh, you're
not. I think Amalok will win, but I will have a couple of critics around on Opportunity. I think.
Yeah, Opportunity. I mean, again, Opportunity nearly got brought down at Goodwood and coasted home and finished 4th. I think he would have been a clear second at the very least in that, and he wouldn't be 14-1 if that was the case. So I think he's going to run a blinder. What about you?
Each way him at these prices now. Yeah, the price has gone enough on Zaran for me to say that Opportunity each way is now the bet at these prices.
Simon Temple says Amalok is a cert. Which is strong words. Strong words, like I said. Rafe Beckett's looking for his first group winner at Royal Ascot. And then we've got a new race, and it's a mad race, isn't it? 5 furlongs for the 3-year-olds here. It's a 0 to 105. And talking about William Haggis with horses aimed at Royal Ascot. Real Line here, son of Blue Point, out of a very talented dam, is 4 to 1 off a mark of 93. Second to Shadow of Light last year, 3rd in the Convivial Maiden, and dropping back to 5 furlongs for the first time. What a move. 4 to 1 Real Line. Adrestia 7 to 1. Hammer the Hammer 9. Zaya 9s. 10 to 1 Red Orange. 11 to 1 Mr. Lightside. 12 to 1 Bar. Again, this is another one of those races, Keith. You spend all spring and early summer watching the 3-year-old sprinters, and then Real Line sort of comes out of nowhere.
There's a little bit. I love this race. I don't think I've ever backed the winner minds, but it's just I've got so many horses that I've been looking for turn up in this race. Real Line, so obviously we can't have much, forgive me for going all Kevin Morley, but do know that I do it in the full knowledge that there's only been 5 runnings of this race.
Yeah.
4 of the 5 had won on the all-weather.
Is this Big Keith Trends? Is this what we're doing?
Big Keith Trends,
Big Keith Trends, yeah.
4 of the 5, apart from last year's winner, I think, had won on the all-weather. Only one was making their handicap debut, and that was Art Power, who obviously, that was the COVID year for his start, so he wouldn't have a chance to, and obviously he's Art Power.
Was he well handicapped?
Yeah. And no winners have come from a single figure stall. So
that's a lot against Real Line, then.
It's a lot against Real Line. Let's get him beat. Let's the sprinters have their way. Eh?
What beats him then? Give us 2.
Right. So the top of the list, and I've got the same doubts as you, is but they're not as strong as Hammer the Hammer.
Yep.
I watched him win at Southall in that Sunday Series race. 2 out, I thought, this will win the Holyroodhouse this. But the line, I thought he'd win the Commonwealth Cup. He just absolutely, there was just no stopping that thing at all, was there? Yeah. Went to Chester next time. They backed Bob
Marley
at Chester because Hammer the Hammer was 10.
Yeah.
He laughed at 10 at Chester, lads.
10 at Chester.
The horse doesn't know where they're drawn, to mangle a phrase, and he absolutely blitzed them again. Just a very, very fast horse. Going to end up in group races. You agree with me on that? He's going to end up in group races.
I do, but I think he'll blast off. I think he'll get 4.5 furlongs, and then he'll get past because this is Ascot. So that's 1 for you. Keel's 2 for you, and then we'll come back to your second one.
I have backed 2. I've backed Adrestia. He's another one that's shortened dramatically in the last hour or so.
Yeah, you've probably something with that there, to be fair.
I wouldn't have thought so. Can't imagine many people are following me at the moment. Adrestia, I just thought it was really eye-catching. It had this is a tune-up for Royal Ascot written all over it at Windsor. It was only 11 days ago. She travelled really, really well, and then just blew up in the last furlong or so. Nice, some nice form from last year.
Taking on very fast older horses as well.
Yeah.
I can row in behind because that was my second.
That's your second?
Yeah, because look at her last year. Look, she's won a listed race. She's gone off. Sorry, not one last race. She's gone off 2 to 1 favourite for a listed race last August, and then it's turned up at Windsor in a handicap of 89 against older horses and gone off 12s.
Yeah,
that tells you absolutely everything you needed to know.
Yeah, she had outside draw as well.
Yeah. She tanked and she blew up. She went like an unfit horse. It was plainly getting a run into her for a big handicap. And it's this one. So she's got a right chance. And drawn 24 again. You know, Hammer the Hammer 17. No, you want to be.
They're going to follow him, aren't you?
Ruby's Prophet is 21, and she's too.
All the paces down
she's too fast for Epsom.
What's your other one?
Mr. Lightside.
Yeah.
First ever run in a handicap. Now I know that's bad news for 5-year trends, But he's won, you know, he's all his best form was on fast ground, and he was third to Big Mojo in the Moulcombe at Goodwood last year, and he ran another good race at York. He came back this year, didn't quite see out 6 furlongs at Chelmsford, but he did show that he trained on, because he ran really well. And then next time, they couldn't go fast enough for York, and he was fighting the jockey all the way. And I think it's a first ever run where they're going to go lightning fast. I mean, obviously you've got Hammer the Hammer, he's in 17. But you've also got Ruby's Prophet in 21.
Yeah.
And they're just going to, I'm sure they're going to cut each other's throats somehow. Like, you know, because she's lightning fast.
She can't help herself.
Yeah.
She can't help herself, so she's going to go. So you know, I'd imagine it'll be on the right side, even if it did bias is watered out slightly. And yeah, drawn 29. I just think he's potentially a big price.
Yeah, okay. I didn't fancy anything in this race, and apart from one horse just kept coming back to me, and that was Miss Lamai, who's drawn 26 for Carl Burke and Clifford Lee, was half a length behind Tropical Storm at York last time out, but again, 4th to Leah Varney in the Queen Mary last year. Again, we're coming back with Royal Ascot form.
Love a bit of a Royal Ascot form.
Love a bit of Royal Ascot form.
We all do, but we have to bow to you and our love of Royal Ascot form, I think.
90, and a mark of 97. So, yeah, okay, right, that's the last race on Friday. What have we got quickly in the chat? Vanguard, always pronounce that wrong, 40s each way for Prometheus. And word to mother, Ocean Murphy for the Christopher's, 12 rides, 4 wins. Not a bad record. And Ian JS is with me with a small bet on Miss Lamai, but not a race I haven't spent much time on. Not a race the horses will spend much time on either, to be fair to you. So, yeah, it's going to be pretty fast and furious. Right, here's an ad, then the naps. Okay, last call for likes as well. Your chance to win a battering by Keels at table tennis. Who knows when that'll happen. All right, okay.
Is Rodders going to do the bungee jump?
And Rodders is going to do a bungee jump as well. And then we'll think of something else tomorrow night to put Keith in. Keith is going to lead a high-profile case at the Crown Court as he's dressed tonight. Right, okay, what are we going to go for? Best bets on Friday Royal Ascot. Keels.
French Duke.
French Duke.
340. Is that you?
No, you're not nipping. You're not nicking it off me.
All right, that's fair enough. All right.
I don't know if I'd actually thought of him, but it's Hammer the Hammer for me. That's just a horse. I'm going to follow that thing to the ends of the earth. He'll get there before me because he's really fast.
Yeah.
But yeah, with those little caveats, he's a group horse in this race, surely.
Right. And I will go for Opportunity for William Haggis to beat to Amalok. Opportunity by Frankel out of Izzy Top, who was also a very good Eleanor Springfield horse.
Yes.
Talking about earlier on.
You really mentioned that at the time. I thought it was that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was another one, and that was the one. Anyone else with the naps on the chat? No. Tommy Daniels says, thanks, Ross and Co. Great show as always. Thank you too, Tommy Daniels. Son of Paul, I assume. I've said that before, but it was good enough. So, what was Paul's every second counts?
Yeah.
It's my record this week at Ascot. See you tomorrow.